Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Carmel Valley Community Chapel. I think you already know that you're in for a musical treat this morning. It's great to welcome David El-Yusufi. Did I say that right? Close? It's great to welcome David back to the chapel with some beautiful music by Johann Sebastian Bach. I want to thank Jody Parsons for being our liturgist this morning, and Holly Thompson, our deacon to the diaspora, despite the fact that she's just had an operation and is recovering. So thank you, Holly, for your faithful work in the ministry of this chapel. At this point in the service, I invite all who are able to please stand and join responsively in the call to worship printed in the bulletin.
Hello, sun in my face.
Hello,
you who make the morning and spread it over the fields,
and into the faces of the tulips and the nodding morning glories,
and into the windows of even the miserable and the crotchety. Best preacher that ever was, dear star, that just happens to be where you are.
To be where you are in the universe,
to keep us from ever darkness.
To ease us with warm touching, to hold us in the great hands of light. Good morning,
good morning, good morning. Watch now how I start the day in happiness, in kindness.
Let us join together in singing our opening hymn, Morning Has Broken, number 145 in the hymnal. Please be seated. I invite us all to join together now in a few moments of silent meditation and prayer. I invite you to take this time to center your hearts, your minds, your bodies into this here and now that we are creating with one another. After a few moments of silent meditation have gone by, there will be a musical meditation to bring us back into the flow of our liturgy. Let us join together now in silent meditation. Oh, there's nothing quite like Bach to remind us that even in these troubled times, there is some order in our world. Our scripture reading for this morning from the lectionary is from the book of Psalms. It's Psalm 8. This psalm begins with praise for God's majesty and splendor, which is woven throughout creation. And for the psalmist in this case, noticing and paying attention to creation inspires reflection on humanity's place within creation. First, the psalmist wonders that humanity should even be noted or given heed by the eternal. Yet goes on to affirm that God has created humanity in the divine image and crowned us with glory. Literally, that word means with shining. Perhaps one might translate it with the call to shine. And then the psalmist suggests that God has made humanity to rule over the rest of creation. Now, I would suggest to us today that the challenge of this psalm is not to continue thinking that we're supposed to rule over creation. The challenge that this psalm brings to us today is to encourage us to do our own reflection on the place that we have within creation. Are we meant to rule over and subjugate creation? Or is it more faithful today for us to consider that we might be called to listen to creation as kin to all life forms, and to speak up as advocates for the health and well-being of all creatures and of our endangered planet, Earth? So with that in mind, let's take a listen to Psalm 8.
Adonai, our God, how majestic your name in all the earth, whose splendor was told over the skies. From the mouth of babes and sucklings you founded strength on account of your foes, to put an end to enemy and avenger. When I see your skies, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars you fixed firm, what is humanity that you should note us, and the human creature that you pay us heed? And you make us little less than the gods. With glory and grandeur you crown us. You make us rule over the work of your hands. All things you set under our feet. Sheep and oxen all together, and also the beasts of the field. Birds of the sky and fish of the sea, what moves on the path of the seas. Adonai, our God, how majestic your name in all the earth. May God bless to us the hearing of these words.
I invite us now to join in singing the first three verses of hymn number 111, How Can We Name a Love? Let me begin by thanking Reverend Derek Williams, who preached in my absence last week and 3 Sundays ago, and Reverend Lamont Wiltsey, who preached 2 weeks ago, along with some fabulous musicians, Tammy Hall, Dana Abbott, Liberta Laral. I'm always upset when Tammy Hall plays and I'm not here to hear her. So anyway, I want to thank all the people that made the services so wonderful the last 3 weeks. I just got back from a wonderful vacation up in the mountains in Stanislaus National Forest. I have a friend who allows me to stay at his house in Cold Springs, which is just under 6,000 feet elevation within Stanislaus National Forest. It always feels like I'm coming home when I get there. I've been going up to this place for at least 6 years, over the last 10 years, and there is something very special about it for me. Part of it is the mountain air. It's not just the oxygen that the trees create, but apparently there are lots of antimicrobial elements that the trees emit as well for their own protection. And I think that does some good for human beings as well. In addition to the scent of the forest, there are the wonderful sounds of the forest, the bird songs, the forest community, squirrels, everything that lives within this ecosystem. And then there is the quiet, something that is so different from life in a city like Salinas, where I live. There is time to just catch your breath for a deep a deep inhale. And over the years, I've developed a ritual. Every morning and every evening, I walk my dog, Bodhi. We walk up the hill to an overlook. It has some trees that are blocking the overlook, but there's one tree in particular I always park myself beside and look up to, and I call this the gratitude tree. And every morning I just notice a sense of gratitude for a new day. And every evening, feeling of gratitude for all that I have seen and experienced during the day. One of my favorite things, in addition to the beautiful hikes, is just sitting on the deck, listening to birdsong, reading poetry. Often it begins with poetry by Mary Oliver. Sometimes during these moments of just sitting there and listening to the birds, I hear a solo. Other times there's a duet or a trio. Often there are times in the morning and in the evening when it's a huge chorus of birds singing. There is something about being in nature, in the forest, surrounded by beauty, by beautiful songs, that is just sheer delight and grace. And I experience myself being held in this benign container that nature is. And the hikes in the forest is a discipline that develops after you've hiked a long time, in looking, in noticing what's around you, listening, delighting in the beauty, the variety, the diversity of life. Every day there are so many wow moments that I experience there. And of course, up in the mountains, there are some grand vistas of majestic mountains, lakes with dramatic cloud formations, ever shifting, and just a heck of a lot of beauty. There's also the experience of being alone in the wilderness, which I find very comforting. Several times I found myself feeling like I had the best seat in the house, in the world, when I would find a rock by an overlook of the valley and eat my sack lunch that I had brought with me. But what I find most captivating are the small things, the little things that are easy to not see. Let me segue to one of the first poems I read the first full day I was there up in the mountains by Mary Oliver. It's titled, "Where Does the Temple Begin? Where does it end?" Oliver writes, "There are things you can't reach, but you can reach out to them, and all day long. The wind, the bird flying away, the idea of God. And it can keep you as busy as anything else and happier. The snake slides away. The fish jumps like a little lily out of the water and back in. The goldfinches sing from the unreachable top of the tree. I look. Morning to night, I am never done with looking. Looking, I mean not just standing around, but standing around as though with your arms open. And thinking, maybe something will come. Some shining coil of wind or a few leaves from any old tree. They are all in this, too. And now I will tell you the truth. Everything in the world comes, at least closer and cordially, like the nibbling, tinsel-eyed fish, the unlooping snake, like goldfinches, like dolls of gold flittering around the corner of the sky of God, the blue air. So where does the temple begin and where does it end? I think for Mary Oliver in this poem, there is no beginning, no end to the temple. When we learn how to look, to listen, to appreciate, and to open our arms and our hearts wide. There is a sense of liminality in this poem. Liminality refers to that which is in between. The very question about the beginning and the end of the temple. In some traditions, when you enter a sacred space, there is a ritual that prepares you to move from the common everyday into the transcendent. And in this moment of moving from one to the other, there is a liminal space that is neither of those things, and yet contains both of those things. It's kind of like twilight that contains a little bit of the light of day and a little bit of the darkness of night. I find the wilderness to be a liminal place, a place that is in between complete wilderness and civilization. Another part of my vacation that I treasure is the time to read. When I'm up there, I'm off the grid, without TV, without reliable cell phone coverage, without internet access. And I always end up taking way too many books. I have to tell you, I probably take at least 40% books that I never get to, because I'm not sure which books will speak to me when I'm up there, which ones I'll want to read. So it's kind of intentional to take more than I need. But when I'm up there, I thumb through them. I notice as I read opening chapters which books are calling to me. I discovered that the novel I took by my favorite American novelist, loved many of his books. He's a Pulitzer Prize winner. I read almost the first 40 pages, and it just wasn't speaking to me. So I put it aside. I discovered that there was another book that I had recently purchased and brought with me, a book that was written by a former seminary teacher of mine, Mary Potter. And this book really captured my attention and inspired me in a deep way. The book is a collection of essays that was published earlier this year in a book titled The Body Leads the Way, Ritual, Liminality, and Imagination. Now, one of the essays in her book is titled, quote, "In a crisis, call in the poets, the need for liminal leaders." I love that title and that essay, and I would not be surprised if you hear more about this in an upcoming sermon. Another experience I had was the first Sunday I was up there. And I have to say, it was the best Sunday experience I have ever experienced. I was on the deck. I had had breakfast, had had my morning coffee, and was just sitting around, listening and meditating and journaling about whatever came up in my meditation. Not working to solve a problem or to discover anything new, just very gently noting what was happening within and holding it lightly. And it was no surprise that all of a sudden it began with a chorus of birdsong, a lovely introit or prelude to that Sunday service. And then it very organically segued into prayer and into a free association about prayer. Then a reflection upon my own life, where I am, what I am feeling called to in this moment. And then finally, a commissioning into kinship and kindness in all things, and a reminder to stay open to the world, to life, to growth, and to mystery, whether I am in the forest or in the city. And it ended with the blessing of the mountains and the fellowship of birds and butterflies and other people, mostly strangers, and a profound sense of kinship with life. Now, the only part of that morning that was intentional was my awareness that it was Sabbath, along with a deeply felt need to honor Sabbath. That word alone created a doorway, a liminal space. And it was a reminder that that's what all of our services are supposed to do on some level. And I have just two stories about two trails I'd like to tell you this morning. One was I don't know whether it's pronounced Arno Creek or Arnott Creek. It's Arnot. And this is a trail that goes through a part of the forest that years ago, a decade or more, experienced a devastating wildfire. And every year that I've been up in this area, I've returned to that area, to that trail, to bear witness to the gradual recovery of this devastated area. And though there are still many dead trees, some standing, many that have fallen down and are in varying degrees or stages of decay, the understory is recovering. And I see it every year, getting better, getting bigger. All sorts of smaller plants are growing and blooming, especially this time of year up there. The insect life is varied and robust. The birds are plentiful and well-fed. Their rapturous songs echo through the forest. On all my hikes, but especially at this one, I think perhaps because it's less traveled than many. And on this particular hike, I heard more different types of birds than anywhere else. Warbling vireos, western tanagers, black-eyed juncos, song sparrows, American robins, chipping sparrows, Nashville warblers, olive-sided flycatchers, fox sparrows, lazuli buntings, and mountain quail. All thanks to the Merlin app. But again, it was the beauty of the many small things that captivated me most deeply. I saw on this hike the smallest butterfly I have ever seen, only to find out later, when I was back at the house with all the field guides to the birds and the insects and the flowers, that it wasn't a butterfly I saw, it was a moth. It may have been the 8-spotted forester moth or the Langston's forester moth. It looked like both of those in the field guide. But I saw so many small, tiny plants, lichen, fungi that looked so strange. They must be from another world. There were flowers, beautiful flowers, so tiny, yet so beautiful. And I had to wonder how they ever got pollinated. They were too small for a butterfly or even a honeybee to stand on while they sip nectar and pollinate the plant. So my theory is there must be teeny tiny microbees that go to those flowers and keep them alive in the ecosystem year after year by pollinating them. But the highlight of my trip was Herring Creek. Herring Creek is an area that for the past 2 or 3 years that I've been up there, it's been snowed in and inaccessible until late June or even early July. And I haven't been able to hike in that region, though I have many, many years ago. This year I was lucky that it was accessible so early in the year. Now, parts of it were still closed to cars due to water and melting ice on the dirt roads, but we were allowed to walk on the road and the trails. And I took 3 different hikes in this area, 3 different places on 3 different days. The first hike was a very short one since it was late in the day when we got there, just enough time to walk for an hour or 2 and then walk back. And the second hike was more interesting. One of the things about hiking in the national forest that is different from the national park is that the trails are not well maintained. And you often find yourself bushwhacking through the wilderness. And they allow that in the forest. On this second hike in the Herring Creek area, I started on the road, very easy trail to walk on. But soon after I get started, less than 100 yards, I saw this little tiny goat trail going off to the left. Now, I've been here in this area several times over the years. I've never noticed this little goat trail before. So I decided to take it. That's one of the joys about being in a place where you're somewhat familiar with. You feel a little bit bolder to strike out in a new direction that may or may not be much of anything. So I took it, and it led to a place that was alive with flowering plants and insects, along with beautiful views of the mountains and the valley, and the late afternoon light was just stunning. And it was a very special walk. But the grand finale was the third and much longer hike I took in the area to Herring Creek Reservoir. I had been to the reservoir once, many years ago, and had been very disappointed over the last couple of years that I couldn't get there. And this time, I got there again. And it was even more magical than I remembered. First, Bodie and I had the reservoir all to ourselves. Actually, we had the whole area that day all to ourselves. And it was a beautiful lake surrounded by a healthy forest with views of the mountains beyond and above. And on this day, there were some very dramatic cloud formations. There were ducks and geese out on the water. The warblers were singing their hearts out. And the moment just called out for stillness and appreciation. One just had to take some time, a good deal of time actually, to sit down, look, listen, and take it all in. Have you ever been in a place of great beauty, stillness, and peace, and felt a calling to sit down, to stay a while, and just pay attention to what is around you? Places can and do speak to us. It's biblical. Sometimes they say, "Take off your shoes, for the ground upon which you are standing is holy ground." For me, that day, that moment, there was a deep sense of tranquility and of healing and of wholeness, as if this was what we were meant for. To be aware, to be open, to be at ease with the sense of belonging and enchantment that nature provides. It was like the lake the forest, the geese, the skies were all demanding attention. And in exchange, they were giving peace, acceptance, grace, and a profound sense of kinship and connection. And I did not want to leave. When I did eventually leave that place and hiked back to the car, it felt like things were different, like things had changed, something had shifted. There was a new and deeper sense of compassion and kindness that had been extended to me through this time in the mountain. And it continues to sing within, even though I'm not there physically. This was a beautiful time of listening to the music of life, of living things that are not like us, whose voices, songs, and sounds are different from ours. Yet, this music of so many diverse others was utterly enchanting and beautiful, inviting us into a deeper kinship with the world. We need this. Times of witnessing creatures behaving in ways that make perfect sense for them, yet startle us into wonder, curiosity, and awe. We need times of sitting quietly in the midst of this amazing and generous world we live in, while allowing ourselves to surrender and be gently held in a benign container so vast, ancient, trustworthy, and still evolving with us as we are. I am so grateful to have had this opportunity and for the recharge. I am so grateful for my friend Jason, who lets me stay in this wonderful home in the forest several weeks every year. And I am grateful to have this spiritual community to return home to and to share this experience with you. And to say, may we all find our own way to connect with creation's great reservoir of grace, beauty, and connection during these difficult times.
In gratitude for the beauty of the earth, for the loveliness of the sun, for the little things, and for the connections that we all share in this community, please give generously. Let us join in the blessing of our gifts as printed in the bulletin. O God, through the offering of these gifts, may we become a more open people, open-minded in hearing your word and wisdom, open-hearted in healing a broken world, open-handed in heeding your call for charity and enacted love. With thanks for all good gifts, we present a portion of our substance and the whole of ourselves. Amen.
Please be seated. At this point in the service, before we begin our sharing of joys and concerns, I want to take a minute to honor our fathers, since this is Father's Day. I want to ask all the fathers to please stand up. And you're going to get a flower. Just take a stem full. Happy Father's Day. Probably enough to take two. Peter, happy Father's Day. And happy Father's Day, Whitney and Dan. And Wayne. From Audrey and Jimmy. Let's show our appreciation to our fathers. Please be seated. At this point in the service, I invite anyone who wishes to share a joy or a concern with the community. Just get my attention. I'll bring the microphone to you. And if there's any way in which we can respond to your sharing in solidarity, let us know by saying a phrase that we can repeat after you, like, thanks be to God, God hear our prayers, blessed be, or whatever. I've got two concerns to share with you. A little bit of joy here, but still some prayers for healing and recovery for Holly Thompson and her hip operation. And it has not been easy. And despite all that she has gone through, she has continued to email the diaspora with the bulletin and the scripture reading and everything else. So thank you to Holly. And also, Holly, we are praying for your physical healing and recovery and hope it is quick. God, hear our prayers. Also want to share with you one of our longtime members who lives in Michigan and is part of our diaspora, usually with us almost every Sunday on the live stream. Ken Morley was in the hospital for pneumonia and some other issues as well. And he recently got back to the living community, the retirement community that they live in the, I believe in the skilled care facility they have. I don't know if he's back in his own apartment yet. But let's keep Ken in our thoughts and prayers for his healing and for Faye, as she was a nurse. So she's doing some nursing right now. For Faye and for Ken and for Ken's recovery and health. God, hear our prayers. Is there anything folks wish to share this morning? Christy and Wayne.
Yesterday there was a gathering across the country.
No King's Day.
And it was inspiring to see people out with thoughts about how we can change and do a better job of this planet and our work on it, and how we can get along with each other so that we can thrive, be resilient, and have a future that is peaceful, kind, and empathetic. So it was uplifting for me, and I think others that were there.
I just wanted to thank our wonderful pastor for coming home and sharing such a glorious vision of the natural world. And I have to admit, I haven't been out in it that deeply in a few years now. And we're so eloquent, it felt as if we were there. And thank you, that's so uplifting and important to remember, especially in these times.
Thank you, and I'm so grateful for the fact that I get vacation. Thank you. Thanks be to God. Whitney.
I just wanted to, as long as we're sharing, I just wanted to share my proud fatherhood of my son Joe here, who's finished up his school year with all A's.
All right, yay! Good job.
Also, his soccer team won the state championship.
Wow, great. Good.
And now he's got a job as a counselor at the recreation department at our place, and he's also doing volunteering with the local church in our area. So,
Wonderful.
Very proud of him. He's a great kid.
All right. Thanks for sharing. Is it Marion?
Melinda.
Melinda.
Melinda, just a quick follow-up to the comment in the back. Over the course of my life, I've been in many different churches and cathedrals, and I'm recently here, and I have to say this is the first time I've had the opportunity to hear really a sermon in the form of a poem, and it just seemed to me that your entire sermon was a poem, so beautifully written, and the way in which you delivered it was very poetic, and I won't forget it. Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda. So glad that you're back with us today.
Yes, I'm happy to be, especially today, to hear that poem.
Thanks. Thank you. Steve.
Our older son, John, is in the hospital with esophageal cancer and awaiting a decision about how to proceed. God may hear our prayers.
God, hear our prayers. Thank you for letting us know. And let's keep in touch and let me know what they figure out, please. If there's nothing else that folks have to share at this time, I invite us all into a brief moment of silent prayer, and then I'll ask us to join together into this new paraphrased version of the prayer of Jesus. Let us join together now in silent prayer. Gracious Spirit of life and of love that calls us into ever deeper communion and kinship with one another and with this amazing world we live in. May we open our hearts, offer our attention, and offer our compassion to this world, waiting for more community, more diversity, more respect for the other life forms that are part of our home, the earth. Hear us now as we say this new version of that ancient prayer that our brother Jesus taught us to pray, saying, Eternal Spirit, earth maker, pain bearer, life giver, source of all that is and that shall be, Father and Mother of us all, loving God, in whom is heaven. The hallowing of your name shall echo through the universe. The way of your justice be followed by the peoples of the earth. Your heavenly will be done by all created beings. Your commonwealth of peace and freedom sustain our hope and come on earth. With the bread we need for today, feed us. In the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us. In times of temptation and test, strengthen us. From the grip of all that is evil, free us. For you reign in the glory of the power that is love, now and forever. Amen. This is a time for any announcements that folks have to make. Judy, I see your hand going up, coming up to you.
Yes, this is the last day. There's still room left for our house concert, dinner house concert on Friday night, starting at 5. And then we are, I don't want to say blessed, but we have a special gift of the Trinity Alps Festival chamber music quintet, yes. So we were very lucky. This is something that just came to us because one of the musicians you already know, Ian Scarf, he's the one that played four-hand piano and plays with Electra, originally from Greece, and they're very fine pianists that really travel all over for concerts. And Ian organized this Trinity Festival quintet, and they stuck together and put on performances. And they were coming down here for a gig, and there are 5 of them, one with a dog. And they all were kind of excited to think that maybe they could stay at the Rileys. So the Rileys said, okay, fine, but if you stay overnight and you get fed and you get housed, how about a concert? And so they said, sure. So they're going to be arriving at our house around 5:30 and grab a bite, and then we're going to open up the house. Everybody will have a seat. It's limited, but I have to know who is coming. We have quite a few already, but there's still room. And we're asking for a donation of the minimum of $25, only because they normally get paid like thousands, and we're not going to do that, and they are willing to do this for us. So I thought that whatever we collect, and if we're really lucky and have a big crowd, we'll take the expenses and then we'll donate it back to the church. But it's open to everyone, all your friends, anybody you can think of. But I just need to know so that we can have a table setting for you to be there. And if you can find it in your kitchen some way to bring some we'll have the basics, but if you could bring some extra food, that would be wonderful too, because I don't know how much people are going to eat. But I think our house is set up so that the acoustics are pretty good. They'll be in the music room, but we'll open up everything and you can sit inside or outside. We can have about 22 or more inside sit-down people, and we're limiting it to 40. And then outside people can sit too, and we have heaters if it's really cold, and it's a very sheltered back area. And I just can't emphasize enough how lucky we are in this area to have so many talented people coming. This all started because of the church, because Ian came here first and we were introduced to him, and Electra. And now, because of all these musicians and because they all love to come to Carmel Valley, and even though we live in Corral de Tierra, but it's like the same practically, and they know they can stay at our house, here we go. We're going to have Madeline Mitchell come in October. That's the UK BBC chamber person that plays the violin beautifully, and they're coming to our little tiny church. I mean, how fantastic is that? So come and help us support, come and enjoy this quintet that are going to be playful besides playing, what some people might say boring chamber music. They're not boring, believe me. So, just let me know. But today I said was the last day, and there is still room. So please let me know, and don't forget to tell your friends, because it's a great opportunity. So Friday night, starting at 5, and you can come really, just come to the concert if you want. Okay, that's about all I have to say, except that I am just so grateful. And also because of the connection that we have a minister that is a musician that is so well known in the community because of his quality level, and bringing in young people, and we just can't be more. You talk about nature, but look at all of the things that humans have to give to add to our quality of life.
Thanks, Judy. Wayne?
In case you didn't get all the details, we have flyers that talk about the event this coming Friday, and it describes the music that they're going to play and who some of the artists are, so it really gives a more thorough description other than the excellent promotion by Judy Riley. Also, coming up on the 29th, we have here the Sip, Swirl, Savor Wines of Spain with a eminent sommelier minister pianist who's going to describe and go through what the wines are in the different regions. And I just, there's a flyer about that also if people want to take a look. So, thank you.
Thank you. Christy?
I hope it's not too late. I had two things and I forgot during the prayers of the community. I just quickly wanted to thank our talented young cello player, David, for gracing us with his presence and his wonderful playing. Thank you so much.
Is that it? Okay. Yes, thank you so much, David. And David is going to enter college in the fall. UCLA, right? Yeah. So we'll have to hold off and look forward to seeing him whenever he's home in the area. But best wishes to you. At this point in the service, I invite all who are able to please stand and join in singing Stars and Planets Flung in Orbit. It's the insert in your book. May you go forth this day in peace. May the peace of the flowing water go with you. May the light of the shining stars dwell and shine within you. May the joy of the songs of the birds live within you. And may you go forth in the heart of compassion and connection with this world, to live with caring and concern for all. Go forth this day in peace. Amen.